Hey everyone, welcome back to, I think this is episode 9 of the Everything Communication podcast. My name is Nathan John. Of course, I'm your host for the podcast. And today I'm going back to a similar format to what I've done last week, to be fair, which is kind of just doing an outline skeleton sort of thing and just flowing from there. And I think when I first started this podcast, I wanted this to be something that was super polished and neat and put together and all that kind of stuff. And then I realized like I actually have a life and stuff happens, right? So going back a couple episodes to the point I made around just showing up, like that's sort of what I'm doing here. It's just showing up, right? And letting God speak through me in each of these episodes. And almost using this space as more just bringing you guys along the journey of what's happening. For context, for anyone that hasn't watched any of these before, it might be the first one you've come across. I am a keynote speaker, so I've got 2 businesses at the moment: public speaking agency, which is for Gen Zs, and then also I'm running a one-to-one high-ticket coaching business as well, and that's for people that want to improve their public speaking. So typically professionals with a couple years of experience, helping them to get to their next level by improving the way that they show up. So sort of like executive presence and their public speaking, how they show up in presentations, lead things, and are able to present themselves as the expert, even though they may not have like all of the experience in the world, right? So that's a lot of what I do in those kind of spaces. And I also work in corporate as well. So my 9 to 5 is in AI strategy, which is a really cool place to be in at the moment. But with all those different things going on, there's a lot that happens on like a day-to-day. And so I think I want to use this space as more just bringing you guys along that journey, instead of trying to make this really like highly curated and like really, really just like artificial, to be honest. I think as time goes on, I'm not too fussed about quality and that kind of stuff at the moment, but as time goes on, naturally, those are things that I want to improve. I'm looking at getting a proper logo for this because right now we're just using the logo that I have for one of my companies. And yeah, as we go from there, upgrading camera quality, equipment. I don't really like the way that things like look visually right now, but we can get into that and like fix that as time goes on, right? Today, what we're going to be speaking about is the power of unoriginality. And in full transparency, again, as I said to you guys just now, I'm going to be just kind of bringing you along the journey of what's happening in my life. So, reading a book right now by Timothy Armu. You guys have probably heard of it before, but essentially, one of the chapters speak about how far you can get by stealing other people's ideas and not being original. And that's kind of opposite of what we hear, right? That if you want to make it, you have to be really smart and have to be the first one to come up with an idea. As soon as we hear that a market is saturated, so many people will say, I would never do electricity, or I would never go into football or whatever because the market's too saturated. But there's still space for people. It may be hard to break in at some points, but it's a proven method. Like, it works. And that's the power of like going into something and not having to completely whip up a whole new, brand new idea. Those are probably bad examples, but we're gonna roll with it. We're gonna roll with it, man. The point of the book was trying to make essentially was that too many of us think that we need to be the next Apple in order to win in business, in our work, in our lives, instead of humbling ourselves and looking up to people who have gone ahead and done it. And this is something that the Bible speaks about extensively, right? Honoring people that have gone before you. And it's one of the things that isn't spoken about enough in a contemporary sense, but it actually has the biggest benefits for people that have gone on to be successful. I spoke to one of my friends about this after I read the book, and he was telling me that he saw a study that showed around 97% of the people who have made it, who are successful in business, are copycats. That means they've seen someone else's idea, they've seen someone else's way of doing business, and they've just copied it and added their own spin to it. Which, when you look at artists, this is exactly what they do, right? My girlfriend's a graphic designer. She gets inspiration from loads of different people's stuff, loads of different posts, Pinterest, and then she goes on to create her own thing. If you look at music artists, the likes of Michael Jackson or the Beatles, like they would have taken inspiration from some of their favorite music artists growing up. Even to this day, right? Your favorite rapper is only your favorite rapper because someone else paved the way for them to be able to come in and create something that to you sounds new. But if you played it for someone that's a bit older, they'd be able to hear the artist that actually originated from. The same style, the cadence, the way that they speak, all of that kind of stuff, right? And I highlighted that there because it's the same thing with public speaking as well. I didn't realize this until I actually put it to the test. And I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, like this is an interesting way of thinking. It's an interesting way of trying to lay things out. But I don't know if it's true. So I went and tested it with some of my content that I record on like TikTok. And for a while, a lot of my videos are sitting under 1K views. So it maybe gets like 700, 800 even sometimes as well, but wouldn't break past 1K views. I implemented this. I went and found someone who was in a similar space to me, watched a few of their videos, and I essentially just like copied the structure, implemented it into my next video. That video got 1.2K views in like 12 hours. And that was only because I had looked at something that had worked. I had all of the metrics and information in front of me to show me the way that they're recording, the way that they speak, the way that they are explaining things is an easy enough way for people to understand it and break it down. And an engaging enough way for someone to see it and snatch onto it. And this is the thing, like, there's so many of us that have great ideas. There's so many of us that are really good at the things that we do. And the problem is our packaging. I realized this the other day when I was thinking about what public speaking is, right? It's really just taking the same idea that everyone else has had and packaging it in a way that's easily digestible for people. If you look at McDonald's, they make burgers and French fries. Do you know how many Moolies there are? But the thing that's key about McDonald's, about a KFC, about a Burger King, these big companies that have chains and all that kind of stuff, is they make it easily digestible for you to eat junk food. That means in terms of their speed of service, right? They're very fast, very efficient. That means in terms of the way they make things look, right? On their adverts, the chicken nuggets look more nugget than they have ever nuggeted ever in my life that I've ever eaten chicken nugget. The burgers look amazing when you see them on a poster or those little newspaper McDonald's vouchers that you used to get. I don't even know if they still do this anymore. I haven't read a newspaper one time. I can't lie, but maybe they do. My point is, because of the packaging, it's easy for you to say, okay, this is something I want to be a part of because it looks appealing. Whereas with a Morley's or whoever else, you go into the shop and it just looks dirty. We can see the oil, that's the same oil that's been there the whole time. You can't see that in a McDonald's. You don't see that in a KFC. Because the way you package things matters. It could be the same exact content, the same exact substance, but if you're presenting it in a way that's unappealing, people aren't going to even test it. They're not going to try it. And so that's when I saw why this is so powerful. Why it's so powerful to be unoriginal. Because if someone else has already learned how to package something in a way that's easily digestible for people, and it's taken them 20 years to learn this thing, why am I going to waste 20 years learning the same thing that they did instead of taking a year or 6 months to learn from what they do right now? Just copy that. And then there's a beauty in it, right? Because we are all individual, if we look at our fingerprints, like None of us have the exact same fingerprint. No one. And that says something about the way we're made up materially. If we look on the inside of us now, none of us have the same internal working mechanisms in our brain. Each and every single person is different and individual, right? Which means that the way that we're going to go about doing something, we might have the same ideas, but the way that we're going to execute on those ideas are going to be very different because we're all different people. And that's the beauty of copying other people, because whilst you are trying to not be original, by default, you will be. And so you almost have to like work that originality out of you when you're copying someone else. But here's the beauty: you can't ever fully work the originality out because it's who you are. There'll always be some trace of that left. And so whatever it is you're doing, even when you copy someone else, there's still the Nathan spin to it. There's still your spin to it as well. When you go and carry something out, it's going to have your signature on it without you even trying. In fact, it would be harder for you to leave no signature than for you to do something and copy someone to leave your mark, to leave your print on the thing. And so I make this video today to encourage you to stop thinking of it as theft or you stealing from someone else. Because the truth is, you can't really ever fully steal who they are, the relationships they built, the way that they're going to deliver the thing, their execution. And that's what makes people stand out. That's what makes people flock to them. All you're doing is you're studying how they've done something and learning from it. It's the same way in school. We study past papers, we study example questions, we look at where someone else has done something right, we take notes, learn for ourselves how to do it, and then we go and do it. And our method might be slightly different, or we might take an extra step where we don't need to, but that's just our way of doing it. And it's the same thing in life. It's almost like as soon as we come out of school, all of a sudden we're taught that copying is bad. Copying is only okay when we're given the green light, when we're given the go ahead to go and copy from someone. Because that's what we're doing when we're learning from past papers, when we're learning from these videos, or we're just copying someone else's method of doing the same thing. But now when it comes to doing the test, then copying is bad. When it comes to uni, writing the dissertation, then copying is bad. And it's so weird because after that, there are no more eyes on you. But because it's what's been drilled into your head for so many years, we keep the same notion that we're not allowed to copy from other people. But the truth is, like, in life, there are no more dissertations. Every day is a test, really. And so you need to be copying from someone else. You need to be revising that mark scheme. You need to be revising, watching those videos every single day, because every day you're going to be tested on something new. And every day you're going to have to show up in a particular way. You can only do that well if you've put the time in to make the mistakes and learn how to show up correctly, or copied someone else's way and applied that to your own situation. So this is actually just such a great way to just save a bunch of time. And I hope that watching this video has given you the inspiration that you need, given you the push that you need to go and start being a copycat a lot more. Because I sure know for me, I'm about to be copying my hat off. And I don't even wear hats still. So God forbid, actually, not my hair. I was going to say my hair off. God forbid. I'll be copying something else. Right. Hope you guys have a good rest of the week until next episode. Take care.